Something very interesting is happening in Japan right now, and it started at the beginning of the year with Visa and MasterCard all of a sudden pulling access from major Japanese websites. And initially, they started going after not safe for work. But it wasn't websites with adults. It wasn't stuff like Pornhub. It was actually stuff related to manga and anime. And so initially, it was against some smaller, more fringe websites. People noticed that some websites would just change the terms of service. I think they even did it to some Western websites. Like, I kept seeing it on my feed when I went on Twitter. Like, another website is banning content, another website is banning content. And then it actually went to websites in Japan. And there's like a major one. I think it's called the L site. It's like the Japanese version of Steam. And half of it is not safe for work, half of it has like adult content, and the other half is actually safe for work. Like, the other half is a legit way that a lot of people were buying manga and they were buying video games and other Japanese products. And it absolutely shocked people in Japan. I mean, imagine if in the West, Visa and MasterCard would pull out of Steam. It's kind of like that. And then they would issue, it's like, oh, due to Steam hosting adult content or something, like we found some irregularities, and so we decided to pull out of Steam. That's pretty much how the Japanese people reacted. And it didn't stop there. Like, a lot more websites got the same treatment. And what's interesting, though, as many pointed out, the request for censorship was not done through the normal channels. So, many websites said that they would receive an email that would ask them not to disclose it to the public, and they would say, Visa and MasterCard are demanding this of you, and you need to make these changes in a couple of days or we pull out entirely. And there's no appeal process, there's no negotiation phase. It's just like, this is what you gotta do, and you're not allowed to talk to the public about it. And so this culminated when even a website that parliamentarian by the name of Ken Akamatsu, who was previously a mangakan, and he managed to get voted in specifically by otakus because he would defend the interests of manga and anime and the cultural exports of Japan. And he wanted to get to the bottom of this. He wanted to know, like, what the fuck is going on, right? Like, this is unprecedented. And it also has like severe economic implications for Japan because the manga is a booming industry there. And not only that, but it's got a lot of cultural soft power. Like, it has the prestige of Japan. Many people in the West, they look towards Japan favorably because they read manga. Kind of like how Romanians look favorably towards the United States because of Disney and Hollywood. And so you have this guy, he goes to California, goes to the headquarters of Visa, and he's actually being told that, no, we're not censoring anything legal. It's probably the third merchants that are doing it. Like, we don't have anything against Japan's businesses. Like, I don't know what's going on there. Like, no, we support all the businesses equally if they're legal. Blah, 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 blah. And so that conversation ended like that. But what's interesting is that a couple of days earlier, it was the Visa Worldwide Japan president Seton Kitney, which actually does confirm that, yeah, like, Visa has started to ban a couple of brands that we consider unsafe due to global legislation. And so on December 3rd, this was actually discussed in the Japanese Diet. And they were talking about what's happening, trying to figure out, like, why is the censorship happening now? Why were our businesses allowed to operate for so many years, and all of a sudden now it's a problem? Why is the censorship so opaque? Why can't we get anyone in charge to talk to? And it's interesting because a proeminent anti-fascist from Germany that speaks Japanese went on Twitter and said, oh, while the South Korean are making a coup, look what Japan is doing and distracting it and blah, blah, blah. And so, on the ground, it seems that there are a lot of people that are championing the credit card companies because they're banning the adult manga. You know, like Vice also released an article accusing Japan of breaking obscenity laws and having their mangas violating the international community standards. And my point was, like, when I saw this, and I said it on Twitter, they're not going to stop at porn. Like, there is no way you can convince me that all of a sudden Visa and MasterCard have grown a conscience and they have decided to attack only the pornography industry in Japan, like not the one in Hollywood, not the one from OnlyFans. No, those are fine. It's just like specifically Japan, and it's also specifically anime. About there's no fucking way they're going to stop there. And apparently, I may have been right, because today another website has fallen, and this one has nothing to do with not safe for work. So this is a very old website, I was told. Again, it's something that's only in Japan. To all members, thank you for using our service. Ernie. It's an otaku matchmaking site. So in other words, if you're passionate about manga and you want to date someone else that's passionate about manga, you would use this website. I guess it's kind of like Tinder, right? So they posted that we apologize for the sudden notice, but we were contacted today by the payment company informing us that Visa card payments at Ernie will be suspended. So the suspension, they don't know even when it's going to start, but it will probably occur either Monday or December 16th. So that's tomorrow. No later than Tuesday, December 31st. And they don't really say what is the problem. Like, I'm not saying that maybe there wasn't illegal stuff happening on the website. But if that's the case, why aren't they reporting it to the authorities? Why aren't they making it public? Why is it that this censorship is done in such secrecy? And there's no pressure that I can see in the United States. Like, there's no cultural movement or anything like that would justify this, you know, like Visa's or MasterCard hand is being turned. So what I think is that this has nothing necessarily to do with Japan or like attacking Japanese culture. If I was to be a cynical person, and this is just my take, it's like based on how these companies operate, and you need to understand that Visa and MasterCard are not the church. They really don't give a fuck about morality. What I think is happening, like, there's two potential things, and they're not mutually exclusive. Number one, certain players in the world are concerned about Japan's growing influence. And so you may have China, you may have Hollywood, you may have Disney that are directly competing with what Japan is doing. And they don't like the fact that they can't push their own morality, especially like Disney is not able to push its wokeness because Japan is making anime and is taking away people, right? Instead of watching Disney, now people are watching anime. So like they have a financial incentive. They're strong enough in order to do it. And they also have like a moral aspect. They want to push wokeness. Like they're very outspoken about it. And so they would view Japan as a direct competitor. And this could be one of the ways that they could hurt them. They could pressure the payment processors. It's like, hey, Japan is doing illegal stuff over there. It's got adult content. It's like, you need to move away from that. It's a possibility, right? China also, they may say, oh, so the Americans are pressuring. I mean, we want to push our stuff. Might as well. And not to mention, if things go sour between Visa, MasterCard, and Japan, China can step in and it's like, oh, Japan, like, look, we got offers, we got payment processors, we got stuff we can help you with. And so things can move that way. Like, I can see China having an interest. But again, like, this is just one speculation. The other speculation, and again, they're not mutually exclusive, is that Visa and MasterCard are just doing a beta test to see how much they can get away with. It's like, how much can they fuck with Japan, which is the world's third largest economy, until there's backlash? Because right now, there's a lot of people justifying it. There's a lot of people that are like, no, absolutely, like, this should happen. And you know, like people aren't saying, like, there should be legislation against this, like, maybe our country should ban certain imports from Japan. No. They're basically saying, no, like, private companies that are unaccountable should unilaterally decide without any sort of recourse, without any sort of appeal, without any information, that any business around the world at any time can receive a notice that Visa and MasterCard doesn't want to support you. And there are people that legitimately think this is a good idea. Like, what can I tell them? Like, okay, I mean, I'm sure like Visa and MasterCard are going to show a lot of restraint and a lot of wisdom when exercising such level of power, right? That now, again, I don't know what will happen, but it doesn't seem to stop. It doesn't seem to be contained to adult, and it does seem to be mostly focused on Japan. Or works in the West, like other companies in the West that hold works from Japan. And I generally think like they want to see how long until there's a backlash. And what exactly is the Japanese government going to do? On one hand, Japan is like the third largest economy in the world. Possibly the fourth, I don't know, I haven't checked. Maybe they fluctuated. But it's definitely top five. And so 30 to 40% of their transactions go online, which means that for them, this is like a national security thing. It's kind of like a public utility, if you will, kind of like electricity or water. Like if this fails, that entire nation can suffer. So they're very interested in getting to the bottom of this and then solving this. Now, solving this is going to be like a game of chicken because, again, Visa and MasterCard together, they have the power of destabilizing Japan. But at the same time, Japan has the power of not just doing a lot of financial damage to Visa and MasterCard because they make billions of dollars for being in Japan. But they also like would lose prestige. Like other nations would find it shocking that Visa and MasterCard are willing to break ties with Japan over moral issues. Like, okay, so like Visa and Japan has something that's legal within their borders and you're not willing to do transactions with that. It's like, okay, we're trying to move towards cashless societies. Do we really want to give American companies that seem to be unaccountable and seem to operate without any appeal or recourse or even care about national laws? Do we want to give the keys to our entire countries to these two companies? That's the question that a lot of smaller nations are going to be asking. Larger nations like the European Union may probably be very arrogant and they would say, well, this would never happen to us. Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that regulate. The people that are supporting this censorship for moral reasons, I want to ask, like, what exactly would stop Visa and MasterCard from choosing to pull out of gun stores? Like, imagine a situation where you have, like, a mass shooting in the United States in the future, and all of a sudden Visa and MasterCard will say, well, due to the public outcry, we decided that we're not going to, right? Seriously, like, what exactly would stop them? What would prevent them from doing that if there is already precedent that they'll be like, well, we're doing it in Japan, like, why can't we do it in other countries? What would stop a politician who wants to pass a law that's unpopular and they don't have enough votes to pass the law to simply just go to Visa and MasterCard and be like, okay, well, if you guys can do this for me, then I'll do something else for you? What's to stop Visa and MasterCard in this situation from simply banning a politician like Nigel Farage or anyone, right? You have like a lawmaker that they don't like, they can just debank him. So my question is, like, why do people trust Visa and MasterCard so much all of a sudden? Like, are they becoming the church? Are they the moral arbiters of society? I don't get it. It's so fucking bizarre. Like, so many people are so narrowly focused, and it's like, well, they're going after adult. Shouldn't the government go after adult, though? Like, shouldn't you have legislation and, you know, like, if you think that something is bad, boycott it in your country, but, like, use the legal proceedings? Because the thing with the legal proceedings is that the person that's being accused can defend themselves. You know, they can hire a lawyer, they can see, like, okay, what's the evidence that you brought against me? Here's my evidence. Because from what I can see right now, Visa and MasterCard can at any point just say that the website is violating TOS and they say something ambiguous and you're fucked. And so, this is what I've been saying, you know, like whenever a company wants, or a government wants to enact censorship, they will always like talk about pornography. Almost every single time. Nowadays, it's either pornography or Russia. Like, we need to censor because Russian interference, Russian misinfo, or we need to censor because porn. And so, I genuinely want to see like how many people are supporting this, because based on what's happening in Japan, it's probably going to set the precedent for the next 5 years. Like, this is actually significant. A lot of people don't look at it because, well, it's cultural. Well, who cares? Well, the Japanese lawmakers seem to care, and it sets interesting precedents that may have like really negative consequences, especially when a lot of governments are now talking about going cashless and talking about going into a digital coin era, where you got like the digital dollar and the digital euro and the digital yuan, right? The CBDC bullshit. I'm not happy with this, to be honest. And I'm not even buying Japanese stuff anymore. Like, I haven't done so for decades. And to see what's happening, it's quite concerning. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Oh, and by the way, right, before we even get there, oh, crypto, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure, like, some of these companies will try to go to crypto, but you can't run a nation economy. Like, the third largest nation in the world cannot run its economy on crypto, okay? So it's just like, they will probably find a solution that even I or you didn't think about, because the Japanese, I believe, are smart people. I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.